Leftover women. Quite a derogatory term, isn't it? Directly translated from the Chinese character shengnu, this term refers to any unmarried woman above 27. Western culture would consider this phenomenon crazy. According to China's National Bureau, 1 in 5 Chinese women between the ages of 25 and 29 remain unmarried. On the other hand, 1 in 3 Chinese men in the same age group remain unmarried. Clearly, Chinese men deserve some sympathy here, not only because there are not enough women for each of them due to gender imbalance, but also because some women would rather stay single forever than get into relationships. There are 36 million more men than women in China, which is almost equivalent to the population of Canada. 36 million men would only be able to find a wife if they married foreigners. In the UK, 35.7 years old was the average age at which women were married in 2017, 38 for men. Globally, the marriage age is increasing. This includes China, which still holds strong views about women being married at a young age, preferably early 20s. In 2010, women in China were on average around 22 when they were married, but this has increased to 25.7 average age in 2017. Marriage is positively supported in all countries, but is especially encouraged in Asia. There is a massive emphasis on your life goal to continue the bloodline. Basically, having children so your family tree lives on. This may not be your life goal, but your family would drill this mantra into you, and over many years, it would wear you down, especially if you're a woman. Families in China favor their daughters to get married as early as possible. The first reason is due to a woman's biological clock. It is a commonly held belief that younger women are likely to have healthier children. Indeed, it's been proven that genetic diseases in the newborn are more likely when the mother is above a certain age. The second reason is a sense of parental responsibility. Parents feel their final responsibility for their children is to see them get married and start a family, for both their sons and daughters. Parents do a lot of work behind the scenes to achieve this goal. For a man getting married, conditions are set by the woman's family. Providing their daughter with a house, car, and kai li are the 3 most standard requirements. Since most young males can't have these possessions, they have to rely on the unofficial bank of mom and dad. Kai li is a gift to the woman's family as a token of appreciation for the time and money they have spent raising a daughter. It often comes in the form of money, an unspecified sum of money, but a value that can be extortionate. The amount of kai li demanded depends on what city you live in, your financial status, and also the standard of living that the daughter's family has. For example, if the daughter was from a rich family, the kai li expected would be considerably higher. Even a standard kai li can easily amount to tens of thousands, USD equivalent. This is a Chinese ideology that has existed for centuries, and it's unlikely to change anytime soon. Due to the leftover women concept, single women face even stronger family pressures to get married. No one forces a marriage, but women are emotionally manipulated by society and family to get married, not for love, but to preserve face and continue the bloodline. Types of leftover women. There are 3 main types of leftover women in China. The first type comes from families where the parents are rich enough to support her until she is 50 or 60. Rich enough means there will always be free accommodation for her, even if she doesn't work at all. It is more like a middle-class family. Her parents either have a very stable source of income or quite a lot of savings. Usually they live with their parents from day one until the day they get married. The second type consists of those who are well-educated and financially independent. This category of women typically have been busy pursuing higher education or a better career throughout their 20s to 30s. They have been occupied with studying for their master's degree, doctorate, or double degrees. They have dedicated themselves to working very hard to be competent enough in this male-dominated market. Ironically, they are labeled as leftover women the moment they graduate or become department managers. This type of woman is usually career-driven. Most of them are single by choice and are in their 30s or 40s. They lead a free, comfortable, independent life, regardless of whether they have a husband or not. They can afford a nice place to live and indulge in things they enjoy, such as dining at fancy restaurants, drinking wine on Friday nights, and traveling overseas once or twice a year. They appear calm and confident, both outwardly and inwardly. They date occasionally, either in serious or casual relationships. They seem to be the ones in charge of the relationship, the ones to end it when things go awry. They may settle down once the right person comes along, or they may remain unmarried forever, as marriage is unimportant to them. They cherish the moment and live for the moment, knowing what is more important than men in life for them: the freedom and security that they have provided for themselves over the years. Their valuable knowledge, experience, and insight will never leave them, but men may well come and go. The third type consists of divorced women with or without children, who could be in their 20s, 30s, or 40s. These women typically lead much tougher lives compared to the other two types. In China, divorced women face significantly more pressure from society. They are often labeled as the unwanted, or the last option, the true leftovers. However, this doesn't mean they won't be able to find a partner again after divorce. Some of them have indeed found great partners and happily remarried, but the discrimination and prejudice they have to deal with are overwhelming and disheartening. It's painful to admit, but those leftover Chinese men truly miss the chance of marrying a Chinese woman. However, the situation is not quite the same for leftover women in China. It's worth noting that no official law enforced monogamy until 1950. For thousands of years, it was prevalent for Chinese men to have multiple wives. In ancient China, having multiple wives was a social norm, especially for the rich and powerful. Interestingly, official wedding ceremonies would be held for each wife. In contrast, today's mistresses are infamous and often remain unknown for years. For a long time, Chinese men have tended to marry women who are much less competitive than them in various aspects. While a pretty face might be a plus, it has been the norm for men to choose their partners, with women often being the ones to be chosen. This cultural dynamic is deeply entrenched, perhaps stemming from male chauvinism, masculinity, or patriarchy. Whatever its origins, for thousands of years, quality men have never been left over, whereas quality women are more likely to be left over due to a lack of suitable options. Instead of settling for someone who is not on the same page as them, these women would rather remain single forever. Leftover women have now become a widespread topic in China. As China opens up to the world and transitions towards a market economy, patriarchal Confucian norms have begun to redevelop. In the struggle between tradition and modernity, the family remains an important site of contestation. The emergence of leftover women has also become the main object of attention between tradition and modernity. Although women have made significant progress in the public sphere and secured economic independence and social status, in the family sphere, they are still confined to the traditional family framework that espouses male authority and female passivity. Leftover women usually have successful businesses, but they also have a strong family concept. Normally, people usually consider career or education as obstacles for women to get married early. The closer social interaction, the higher the possibility to be leftover status. Leftover men. Income and work status are not important for leftover women to find partners. However, these two variables are the main points for leftover men. In this way, they also fit traditional expectations for gender. Higher education achievement is a common feature for active leftover men and all leftover women. Both men at the bottom of society and women at the top of society exit the marriage market. For both leftover men and women, they consider economic pressure more than romantic relationships. In the process of the development of gender consciousness, through the development of Chinese feminist consciousness, men still mainly retain traditional gender consciousness. Therefore, in terms of spouse selection and ideology, men also prefer the traditional male as breadwinner and female as housekeeper. There are variations among men and women regarding how they see themselves within the leftover category. Women ages 27 and above consider themselves to be leftover women, while most men do not consider themselves leftover. Leftover women usually treat age as a main source of being left over. However, they tend to take the term positively rather than as a negative label. In an interview with a master's student says, "You know, in my hometown, most girls would marry after graduating from university, like 23 or 24. But I don't want to be that kind of person. I don't know what I can do once I get married. I don't want to be a housewife." She equates the term leftover women with working women. Leftover women are characterized by the fact that they devote more energy and attention to their work. They are more inclined to choose work than they are to choose marriage and family. Compared to the previous female lifestyle, it talks about social norms on women that only expect certain roles from them and cannot comprehend the idea of women as workers. That said, most of the women I interviewed said that they did not intend to stay single forever. They hope to be wives and mothers in their final journey. As Liu explains, "I think I would marry one day. I want to marry someone when I turn 30, and I want to have my offspring. If I cannot marry before 30, it would be difficult and risky to have a kid." Liu always wants to be a mother in her statement. Her anxiety about age and marriage reflects on production. Women have earlier optimal childbearing ages, so Liu expresses these concerns. The average age at which a woman can have children seems to be 28 to 30 years old now. The more modern woman seeks economic independence and greater success than the woman in the previous era. Despite this, they still regard marriage and children as necessities in their whole life. Hence, it is understood that women have advanced views and independent thought. In the same vein, women still consider marriage and procreation to be their responsibilities. Traditional ideologies on gender roles from families and the public continually have strong impacts on defining women's family and reproductive responsibilities. The belief that marriage is a must for women in China still exists. Parental pressure has been reported by most of the 15 online interviewees. Women and men, however, tend to interpret parental pressure differently. The women in this study associate marriage with family reputation and respectability. Women's parents often emphasize the need for future generations and the optimal pregnancy ages for women. These are important factors that lead them to encourage early marriage for their daughters. Additionally, the circumstance of the female marriage is affected by the environment as well, including the family, colleagues, or friends of the female. When surroundings are still following the traditional gender norms and marriage ages, women will bear greater responsibilities for their families. Liu comes from a small village in Gansu and now works in Beijing. Despite caring for her parents tremendously, she has a different perspective regarding her current lifestyle and future life direction. The differences between her parents' expectations and her desires have caused anxiety for her and placed pressure on her to find Mr. Right. "I know I am a leftover woman now, and I will get married one day, but I need to find one who I like. My mother is very angry, and she asks me to go back to Gansu and get married as soon as possible because many of my previous friends are married and have babies now. My mother just thinks that one of the reasons why I do not get married is that I live in Beijing and there are many temptations." Liu's situation is common among the female interviewees. After graduation, college students prefer to stay in developed cities, such as Beijing or Shanghai, to seek good job opportunities. But a large number understand that they will not stay in these places forever, especially women whose parents prefer that they have a good marriage rather than a good job. Parents recognize the difficulties and pressures in developed cities, such as higher rent, regional differences, or other economic factors. Yet they still consider marriage an important aspect of women's lives, viewing the golden age for women in terms of family formation. If women are over 27 years old and unmarried, or 30 years old and still single when they return to their hometown, it will not only be more difficult for them to get married, but they will also experience some psychological pressure. When they have lived with their parents, they are more likely to compromise with their parents' suggestions, especially regarding marriage and life choices. Modern views of leftover women. Fast forward a few years. China is no longer a developing country, it's a developed country. Standards of living, wealth, and education have massively amplified, and there are many outstanding females in China who are intelligent, beautiful, and financially stable. The younger generation in China is starting to think and live for themselves, not their family. The older generation may criticize this as being selfish, but expecting you to live purely on your family's wishes is hardly generous on your family's behalf. Chinese society is now becoming more accepting of single people, thanks to the younger generation. In fact, China has a whole day dedicated to this, Singles Day, the 11th of November. There are many reasons why Chinese women would prefer to be single rather than married. More women with an established and financially stable career are obvious reasons, but many leftover women simply do not believe they need a man. As Chinese women's education and standard of living have increased, so has their self-confidence. They are unwilling to settle into a marriage just for the supposed security. They haven't found someone who shares their same values and intelligence yet, and are happy to stay single until they do. Leftover women, who have long been associated with shame, are now starting to change into a symbol of pride for the women who are happy and single. A badge of honor, if you will. The modern Chinese woman is now more confident to chase the life and ambitions they want, not what their parents want. Too many people find relationships not out of love, but for companionship, because they cannot bear to be alone. They believe that being with someone will magically complete them and give them security. But the record number of divorce statistics shows that this simply isn't the case. You shouldn't rely solely on other people to make you happy, and unless you can find happiness within yourself first, you'll never be truly happy.